All growers know of white blister. It's something that they deal with every season. They might know it as white rust as opposed to white blister. So it's not a true rust, so that classification's been wrong. It's more belongs with the downy mildew type fungus, which isn't actually a true fungus and is water dependent. So often seen following irrigation and events like that around the time of bolting, when temperatures are starting to warm up. First of all, the growers will see a paling or yellowing tinge to the upper side of the leaves. Then if you flick that leaf over, you'll see white spores on the bottom that look like blisters, hence the name the white blister. From there, the disease will progress and you'll start to see white lesions on the stem, and eventually you'll see them affecting the heads and causing what we call stag's head. And then from there it progresses onto the pods, and from there we see the spores actually ending up in the seed. So you might not see flowering at all, and that's not good in a hybrid crop. So you don't get often the males will get infected more heavily than the females, and without that pollen you don't end up with a lot of seed. Generally we manage it with fungicides, so the metalaxyl type products are the most commonly used. Once the disease is actually seen, it's most likely that that disease is systemic, and therefore control is going to be very difficult. Most of the fungicides probably only control expression of the disease while it stays inside the plant. So actually, when it's fully systemic, it's very difficult to control. So this trial includes a number of fungicides, primarily aimed at late blight control in potatoes. So a fungus in the same type of family. From here, there's probably 2 or 3 options that look really promising for control of white blister that aren't currently being used. We didn't get a lot of early season disease, which we think is when control actually needs to happen, but we got enough disease occurring post-January, February that we should be able to draw some conclusions out of here. You tell me when it's going to be harvested, when we get some nice weather. From here, hopefully we'll get this harvested in the next 3 weeks, so somewhere in April, and those results should be available following cleaning in June, July sort of time frame. We believe that the white blister we see is coming from a couple of different sources. So one, airborne spores, but the primary infection is possibly coming from either seed-borne infection or maybe it's possible that the disease could also be endophytic. So we may not be able to control the disease with seed treatments or through cultural means. So we're currently exploring the seed treatment idea to see if we can control that. We're also trying to confirm whether the fungus is endophytic or seed-borne. We know we can find spores on the seed, so that's an area that the seed treatments that are currently used should control, but they may not control an endophytic type of infection. There is also well known that white blister infects shepherd's purse, and usually we like to control shepherd's purse from that aspect, but the shepherd's purse in the literature has that it's actually a different strain. So there's a number of different strains of white blister, generally only crop specific. So the radish white blister shouldn't infect broccoli, and the shepherd's purse white blister shouldn't infect radish. However, still got to confirm that from a New Zealand perspective. So the research program's ongoing. We've currently got a seed treatment trial underway, so looking at seed treatments for controlling early season disease. We are trying to determine whether the fungus is endophytic, so actually living inside the seed. So the seed treatments would therefore need to be very mobile and to be able to control the disease. We also will progress with treatments that are in this trial here. So there's a number of experimental treatments in here which could become options for next season. So if we can determine whether the disease is endophytic and then incorporating some of these treatments into next season's work, hopefully at a lot earlier timing. So try and work out whether we need to apply them at the cotyledon stage, first true leaf, 2 leaves, 3 leaves, when we actually need to start applying to control the disease. Working out whether it's endophytic will give us some idea as to when we need to start applying some of these products. Well, I think there'll be a couple of products out of here that growers will be able to mix in with their current standard practice fungicide applications. I think they need to be vigilant and start applying fungicides a lot earlier than a lot of people are. So by earlier, I'm not sure what we'll be talking yet, but we could be talking cotyledon stage. We'll see what the seed treatment trials throw at us, and what we've got foliar fungicide stuff in the glasshouse, see what that tells us. But yeah, there should be a couple of products that people can use that are new and different modes of action to what we've got. Growers also need to be aware that this family of fungi do have high risk of resistance. So using the same product and the same mode of action repeatedly, like could be used 5 or 6 times in a season, is actually high risk for developing resistance. When it's systemic, it's very hard to get an appropriate dose of fungicide to that fungi. So if it's endophytic, we're also talking an application going on as a seed treatment. So resistance management's key. Applying fungicides earlier is probably another key message.